Hey folks, it's John with KGTropicals.com bringing you another episode of KGQandA. I know it's been a while. If you've watched any of my other videos, you've seen that we did have some computer issues, and you know, that kind of slowed me down from being able to edit videos and do anything like that. But I'm finally back, pumping them out for you again because of this. My good friend Dave Warren, you remember him from the Angel series, Breeding Angels. He brought me this laptop. I mean, that's a friend right there, folks. Somebody that says, hey, my friend is in need, I'm gonna help him out and bring him a laptop. I could not thank him more. He doesn't watch my videos. He's too much of a diva for that. So he won't be watching this to hear me thank him, but I really appreciate that. That is really good looking out. So we're gonna get right into the questions because I think I have like 7 of them lined up here for you today because it's been a while since we put these videos out. So I wanna get to quite a few of these questions for you here today. Now, first question comes from Douglas Hankins. Sorry about that. And he is actually a member of our clan in Clash of Clans, and I've talked about it before. You've heard me talk all about it. I'm not doing Clash of Clans videos, but I'm obsessed with it. Lisa's obsessed with it. The whole family is. We're having an absolute blast with the game. If you follow along and you've watched, if you remember the very first video that I talked about Clash of Clans, I showed my base and it wasn't all that much, but here it is now. I'm growing with the game and it's a work in progress, but having a blast with it. And now that Clash of Clans has added Clan Wars, it is a whole new level to that game, and it's a lot of fun. If you play and you want to join our clan and join in with us in Clan Wars, it's KGTropicals. Now, I'm not going to get into details, but there have been some problems with people joining our clan, and so I do have to be very selective over the people that I allow to come into the clan. If you are going to join the clan, this is what I'll tell you. There's 2. KGTropicals, all lowercase, and then there is KGTropicals 2 with the KGT in capital letters. Those are the 2 real clans that are connected to me and us here at KGTropicals. If you want to join those, just go on to the KGTropicals clan, all lowercase, and if you see Tyler Durden in there, that's me. Come over there and join us, and we'll have a lot of fun. But like I said, please don't be disappointed if I don't accept you, because we do have to be selective. We've had some issues. Anyway, let's get into Doug's question here. Do you have a map of where these questions are coming from, at least those that say where they're from? I think it would be cool to see that. It's a really good question. That's why I included it in here, because for this Q&A series, we're getting questions from all over the world. And it would be really neat to be able to know where they're coming from. And unfortunately, it's kind of late in the process to ask for that. But from this point on, when you send in your questions, if you want to include where you're from, most people do anyway. But if you want to include where you're from, I think that'd be a lot of fun to kind of know where these questions are coming from. I think that'd be cool. All right, let's get into question. Clyde Kusumoto, I hope. Kusumoto. He pronounced it for me. He's a customer. I hope I'm doing him right here. Hey, so I'm curious, do you have a tank at your house, or is the 240 your baby? Clyde, I talked about that in another video. We do have a small tank at home with an Oscar and 2 blood parrots in it. It's right next to my TV, so we spend quite a bit of time together. Next question is, can you talk about what F1 means on your website? Is it first generation or wild caught? Well, it's kind of both. It's not wild caught. What F1 means is that it is the first generation of fry to come from wild caught fish. So if the farm gets wild caught fish, breeds them, their first set of fry will be first generation. And every single set of fry that they produce will be considered F1. That's first generation. A lot of people prefer F1 fish just because they're that much closer to wild. But to me, I haven't noticed a huge difference in the quality of the fish. But I guess it's that sentimental value that it's close to wild caught. And there are people that would argue with me and say F1 fish are definitely better because they're closer to wild caught. I haven't noticed a huge difference. You won't really notice a huge difference as far as cost on our fish. It's not like a Sunshine Benga unsexed is going to be $12.99, but if it's F1, it's going to be $18.99. There's nothing like that. There really is no cost difference at all. Wild caughts obviously would have quite a bit of cost difference, but not F1s. At least we don't. Maybe some places do, but we don't. Maybe we should. Mark Osborne, hello, Mr. Hudson. Man, I must be getting old. I recently had a kamikaze blue dolphin who ended up on my hardwood when I was feeding. It was the first time I've ever had a fish jump out, and I had no idea how to get it back in the tank without potentially harming it. Luckily, it flopped right into my net that I had set aside, and no damage was done. So my question is, describe how you pick up fish safely. Did you see my most recent fish shipment video? There you go. If you didn't, go watch the video. I think it was April 11th, the shipment video that I did. Kind of a funny blooper that happened during that. While I was filming, I found a fish on the floor, and I picked him up and put him back in the tank. You saw what I do. That's what I do. I pick them up and I put them back in the tank, and I don't waste any time running around trying to make sure that I'm delicate with the fish. I mean, look, that particular fish fell 5 feet onto the concrete floor. So whatever damage was going to be done to that fish was already done. And me picking him up wasn't going to make it any worse. So I'm not over the top delicate about it. I pick them up and get them back in the water because that's where they need to be. So if you're curious about how that fish is doing, let's take a quick break and go check on him. All right, so here we are. As you see, he's doing perfectly fine. That's him there. It is now Monday. He jumped out of the tank on Friday, and we stuck him back in here and he's fine. So you saw the procedure that I used, which was a very sophisticated system of picking him up off the floor and putting him back in the tank. And it worked. It worked fine. Of course, he's being a little bashful right now, kind of making it look like he's not doing okay, but believe me when I tell you, he's perfectly fine. They just ate, so he's kind of chilling out back there. But he's perfectly fine. No ill effects whatsoever. So as you saw, the fish is doing fine. He's perfectly fine. Now, we have had some that have jumped out, and they're not fine. Maybe it has to do with the way they landed, I don't know, but it is a long way to fall. If you think about a 5-foot fall for a 5-inch long fish, that's probably like you or I jumping from a 5-story building. So you might survive, but odds are it's not going to be pretty. So my advice, Mark, is to do whatever you got to do to get them back in the tank and get them back in there fast. Don't try to be delicate about it. I mean, you don't want to reach down with tongs and pick them up. For crying out loud, pick the fish up. It's not going to hurt you. Put it in the water. You know, don't use any kind of tools or anything. A net is fine. Shoo them into a net like you did. That's perfectly fine. But like I said, that fish got his bell rung, and he probably is not going to care if you pick him up with your bare hands, because he just wants to be back in the water. Okay. This is 2 questions, and I want to include them together, so bear with me here for a second. Tevin, 2 quick questions. Firstly, how many yellow labs could I keep in a 70-gallon tank? Okay, we talked about that a million times. 30, 35, that's heavy stock. You need to be on your game. You need to make sure you're keeping your water clean, keeping it maintenance, heavy filtration. If you don't have all that, and if you're lazy, do 20, 24. You'll be fine in a 70-gallon tank. Let's move on to the real question. I'm 17 and I'm thinking about my future. Wish mine would. I definitely want a fish business. Any tips for a beginner? I've already started breeding and selling goldfish, and I'm making some decent profits. Good for you. Anyway, thanks heaps. Now let's get to the next one. From Elliot O'Neill, again, same topic, that's why I'm putting them together. Hi John, I'm hoping to start breeding African cichlids as I'm looking for a little more money just to fund the hobby. I was just wondering, is it worth it if you are not going to do it on a big scale business like you? Also, where do you get all your nice tanks from? All right, 95% of the tanks in here came from Craigslist. You know, buy used tanks, you can get them a lot cheaper that way. But let's talk about the business. Now, we've talked in past videos about me doing a So You Want to Start a Fish Business video. I'm doing it. I started doing it before my computer took a dump and wasn't all that happy with what was happening so far. So I am going to get started on that again. We got a very busy week this week with orders going out, but I'm going to try to start on it this week and get at least the first part of that video series out, talking about the fish business. But it's not really going to be a guide to starting a fish business. It's really going to be more of kind of a eye-opener, just to kind of talk about things that go on in this industry. But I think you'll be able to get a lot from it. But to answer your question, if you're wanting to breed fish, both of you guys, you're wanting to breed fish as a hobby, just to fund the hobby, you can absolutely do that. And I think that, Elliot, your approach here is a little bit more realistic than the other gentleman. I'm sorry, I forgot his name, Tevin. If you're wanting to do it just to be able to buy food and filter cartridges and new sponges and things like that, you can absolutely do that. And it adds another element to the hobby that makes it more enjoyable, and that's a really good way of looking at it. If you're wanting to do it to start a business, first thing you got to do, Tevin, is watch that series coming up. It's coming, I promise you. Second of all, it's not going to be something that you're going to make a lot of money. I'm not telling you can't make a living doing it. I make a living doing it. But you're not going to be buying a vacation home and buying a couple of boats and a couple of Harleys, which, God, I wish I could do that. You can live a nice lifestyle, and you can make a living breeding and selling fish, but you're not going to become rich from it. So if you have this impression that you're going to start this humongous business and you're going to become, Fortune 500 company, it's probably not going to happen. Even some of the biggest companies that I know out there, they're not rich. So, but as far as tips go, you're 17 years old. Good for you for thinking about it right now. I'm happy, I'm proud of you that you're putting thought into it at such a young age. The biggest piece of advice that I could give to you would be to start working in this industry. Don't just set up a bunch of tanks in your house and expect to learn everything you need to know about running a business like this. Go get a job at a pet store. Go get a job at a fish store. I think you said you're in New Zealand. If there's any farms out there, fish farms, I know that sounds ridiculous. They're not easy to find, but if they are out there, go get a job at one of those. Even if it means volunteering, just kind of apprenticing there. I mean, somebody came in here and asked me, 17 years old, hey, I want to start a business like this in the future. Can I work for you and learn the ropes? I'll do it for free. Think I'm going to send you out the door? I'll give you a bucket and you'll start working right away. So that's something that I would suggest. Work in this industry. Get in it and see what goes on. You may find out that what goes on behind the scenes and everything involved in running a business like this makes it not as desirable as you're thinking it is right now. Because it's not just taking care of fish and putting them in bags and boxing them up and shipping them. There's a lot more to it than that. So thank you, Tevin and Elliot. I appreciate your ambition, and I wish you the best of luck. Let's move on to Nikolai No, I said it wrong, but I tried. I have 5 pink convicts and a marble convict in a 20-gallon tank. If they grow too large, I'll rehome them. And I want to get at least 1 pair to breed. My male-female ratio is 1-to-1. Please give me some pointers on how to get them to pair off and breed. I said I was not going to talk about breeding convicts anymore. I don't think I've talked about it at all yet, but I've gotten a lot of questions about it. Breeding convicts is kind of like breeding guppies or breeding mice or rabbits. If you have males and females together, eventually they're going to pair off and you're going to have fry and the thing is going to go nuts. Convicts are very easy to breed. I would say first piece of advice I would give you is don't overly complicate things. Don't start going out and buying a whole bunch of stuff and trying to be Mr. Perfect. Just keep the water clean and I promise you, you will get some fry from them, because I bred convicts when I was 17 years old. I mean, they're very easy to do. You just keep them happy, keep them healthy, keep the water clean. Obviously, you need males and females, which you have. Once you get 2 that pair off, take the others out, rehome them, as you said, and let them do their thing. And they will, I promise, because they're very easy to breed. Now, Zach Muller. Dear John, my 2 female Imbunas are fighting. Question mark. Is that your question? That's all it says. I'm assuming what he's saying is my two female imbunas are fighting. What do I do? Man, maybe I should have proofread this or prepared my answer. If your two female imbunas are fighting, the first thing I would ask is how many other fish are there in the tank? Are you sure they're females? Could be a male fighting a female, could be you know what I'm saying. If you got two females fighting, if you only have those two in the tank, or if you only have a few in the tank, then your answer could be that they're bored and they want to kick each other's butts. So put more fish in the tank is one of the things I could suggest. Man, this is, I really should have read this one because I'm stumbling here. Because I've talked about it so many times in other videos, and I'm sweating and it's hot in here, and African cichlids are going to fight if they're bored. If there's only a few fish in the tank and they're fighting for territory, they're protecting that territory. It doesn't matter if they're males or females. So if you only have a few fish in the tank and your two females are fighting, get some more fish in there, get something to occupy their attention, and they won't focus in so much on each other. The African cichlid chaos theory, I mean, it works. Put more fish in there, get them occupied, and they won't fight as much. If there's only two fish in the tank, you can't stop them from fighting unless you put a divider in there or separate them. I don't know any other way of answering that question, Zach. Thank you so much. And next time, maybe include a question. You think? Okay. But he ends up saying your videos are very informative and helpful. Thank you, Zach. I hope I helped you on this one. And I see on here he did a recent post on a Clash of Clans video. So, Zach, why aren't you joining our clan? What? At least it looks like he did. I don't know. Google Plus, you know. So that's going to be enough. I'm flaming out here. I want to thank you all so much for watching this. There's going to be more videos coming out, I promise. Computer situation's straight, and I'm in here full time, so we're good to go. There's going to be a lot more, I promise. And there's going to be probably another Q&A taped today, so I'm going to have some inventory there. Just like Doug Hankins asked, start including where you're from. Most of you do it, but if you don't, include where you're from, and we'll start to put together a little list of all of the different places that have sent in questions. I think that's going to be pretty cool. The only drawback to that is that there's 313 questions that have already been sent in. So we'll see how that goes. But I want to thank you all so much for watching, and we'll see you on the next episode.